everyone. 1 minute late, but we're still going live. Take a break with Drake. Weekdays at 7 a.m. Today is Thursday, May 21st, 2020. Drake has... I can't think of a superlative right now. This is terrible. Good morning. Hey, Drake.
Hey. Good morning to you all.
Aaron says, am I first? Yes, Aaron, you are first.
Aaron, well, of course. I mean, you know, God...
Oh, Eric is right after him.
God spoke to Moses. And the first person after God spoke to find out was Aaron. So, of course. And then Eric the Magnificent. Yeah. Hey, good morning to all of you. Good morning. It is May. It is well into spring. It is the first day of summer in 1 month. Boy, the clock ticks on, doesn't it? Yeah, we woke up this morning, and it's very bright. We're quite far north here, and it's quite bright at 5 something in the morning. I saw
Here comes the sun.
Yeah, there goes my wife singing Beatles songs again. Anyhow.
It's okay.
Yeah. Hey, last Thursday we did the Christ stream overview, and I said, man, I can't overview on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in one day. I realized I got through 1/3 of my notes, so we did a more Christ stream overview yesterday. Today, just the last of the Christ stream overview. And tomorrow is a real treat, a favorite topic of mine, the 12 disciples, where they went after Jesus left, and what happened to them, and what was the result of their going throughout the world. Triumphant story, shall we say. I mean, if we would just read the Bible, or just hear Jesus, and just do what he says, each of us would be affecting entire countries. It's very impressive. But anyway, in the Christ stream, we start January 6th reading Matthew, the 6th day of each week. If January 1st is a Sunday, I'll just for ease of hearing, the 6th day of every week, every Friday we read from Matthew, if January 1st is a Sunday. And so every Friday we read from Matthew, and we do that through April. And then the middle of April, we start reading in Mark. And then in the middle of June, we start reading Luke. And then come October 6th, we reach John 1. And all through the autumn, we're reading in John every Friday. That's the Christ stream. And we just do that so that you'll get some Jesus every week. When you read through the Bible in a year, you don't reach Matthew until October or whatever, and we want you to get some Jesus every week. Want to get you some story of Moses every week, a little bit of Isaiah each week, a little bit of David and Psalms each week, a little bit of minor prophets each week, a little bit of Paul in the church stream the last day of each week. So this is why we broke this up like this. So anyhow, Elisa says, I can't find you live this morning. We did have trouble getting on. We pressed go, but it didn't go right when we pressed go.
Oh, did she say that on your phone? Or?
Yeah, it says on my phone, I can't find you live.
Like a messenger thing?
Yeah, messenger.
Yeah, it was a challenge this morning. For sure. We were like...
We had an amazing amount of views yesterday, and maybe Facebook is going, hey, this is a little too much Jesus. I don't know what's going on. Hey, Zuckerberg, work with me, dude. I'm working with you.
Right.
I'm not working for you, I'm working with you. So,
yeah, that's right.
So return the favor.
Right. We got friends.
So, one thing I didn't say in the church stream 2 days ago when I gave the last overview, or last Friday, Paul, the Apostle Paul, Saul, top-trained rabbi, par excellence mind in the world. There probably wasn't a smarter person on earth when Paul was alive than Paul. He had the equivalent of 3 PhDs. He had mastered 4 languages. What a student, what a mind. He took the message of Jesus and got it into Rome and the Greek-speaking world and the Roman Empire. And he reached the capital, and it fanned out from there. And the stuff he wrote so affected the world that even seculars today will admit that the Apostle Paul, St. Paul, whatever you want to call him, Paul was the most influential human being in history. He had more to do with what shaped the thinking of the world than anyone. Apostle Paul. You want to read Paul's stuff. And I know people that say, oh, I've actually heard people say this. Oh, I just read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John because all I want is Jesus. That's sentimental. That's nice. It's disingenuous. Well, I only want to read the people that met Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The rest of them never really met Jesus, so I just want to get the first account of Jesus. We have no record of Luke ever meeting Jesus. Eat that one.
Well,
Luke studied all the stuff about Jesus, but there's no record of Luke ever meeting Jesus. So we don't know that he's an eyewitness account. Paul met Jesus. So you can't say, oh, well, it's all so intricate and it's kind of funky and I don't really track it, so I just want to read Jesus. I've heard people say that. And, well, that kind of flattens the argument. Anyhow, Christ Stream, getting right into some of the more highlights. I couldn't finish the highlights last Thursday or yesterday.
So these are just unique things in which book that we're highlighting today? Just curious.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
All of them.
This is the Christ Stream. Yeah, yesterday was a highlight on the things unique to Luke.
Okay.
But here's some more unique things that one of the Gospels said, well, that doesn't really fit with the theme I'm trying to paint. Remember, Matthew writes to the Jews in Jerusalem. It's a regal book portraying him as a king. Mark writes to the Jews everywhere, presents Jesus as the wonderful servant. And this servant wants to serve you.
So the game we're playing today is one of these things is not like the other.
That's exactly what we're doing. Yes, my wife still lives on Sesame Street. Or is that where that comes from?
Well, that's a fun game because I think a lot of people might not know exactly which Bible books cover which.
Oh yeah, and
things,
you can't. You can't. I have a Bible book where it's got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are in.
Tell them what it is, Drake. It's very unique.
Evangelical. The four Gospels. The Greek one is the one that wowed the world.
Evangelium.
Quator, the four, Evangelium. And Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are called the evangelists. They were the ones that proclaimed the news of Jesus. Mm-hmm. The first and greatest, the foremost, and it went the farthest. But here's some things that, just as in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John excludes them because he proves his point through 7 miracles and these wonderful theoretical, theo, hear God in there. It's not just, oh, that's a theory. Evolution is a theory. No, it's not a theory because the first letters in theory are theo. It's not an idea from God. It's an idea as a distraction. So John gives these theoretical things that Jesus said that the other Gospels don't include. John, I'm thinking, did you write this down live? Did you have a dictaphone going while Jesus was talking? How did you get these huge monologues from memory pulled back up again? Well, when God's talking to you and you're listening and acting on it, your life fascinates the world. Your life fascinates everybody who encounters you. So we have the transfiguration where Jesus is on the mount. I think it was Tabor, and it's in the Megiddo Valley. You can go there today. You can stand on Mount Carmel, where Elijah called down fire on the Baal prophets and the on the sacrifice, and then you get rid of the Baal prophet. You can look right along. You can see that mountain where Jesus was transfigured. He goes up there with Peter, James, and John. This is the 3 inside disciples. It was too intensive a memo for all 12. He took the 3 closest ones to him, Peter, James, and John. James was his brother. And Moses and Elijah appear. And Jesus gets bright as a lightning bolt. What's the memo here? What is the memo? Elijah's been gone for 750 years. Moses has been gone for 1,400 years. The memo is 700, 1,400, both multiples of 7. You see sevens all over the place in the Bible. It's fascinating to me. But these two appear. Peter, James, and John are ready to go catatonic. What is this? The memo is, you work for me. You never die. Peter, James, and John were changed forever by this incident. Matthew, Mark, and Luke have it. John, this is so fantastic. John goes, great point, but it's kind of I'm making a highway from Bethlehem to Calvary, and that's kind of a rest stop off the highway. So John doesn't include the transfiguration. I can't tell you what he was thinking, and he says, I'm not going to put that one in. John has enough fantastic stuff in there, so Matthew, Mark, and Luke have the transfiguration. The rich young ruler is in Matthew, Mark, and Luke.
Oh, Elisa found her way.
Yay, Elisa. So good to see you. You are, Elisa, you are an angel.
Now we know why, how that happened.
Yeah, my wife is working out all kinds of little pluggy things. Again, I'm as technical as Winnie the Pooh, and I change flashlight batteries, and my tech world ends there. Mm-hmm. People say, oh, tell people to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Is that like rock, paper, scissors? So like, share, and subscribe. Don't do rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm told to say that, but I don't know what I'm saying, so I'm...
Good morning, Jim Hendricks. Jim is also
Jim
among
Hendricks.
us.
Jim, call me. I've got a couple more pointers we'll talk about today. I love you. I want you to be strong in the Lord and be of good courage. The rich young ruler. Here's a guy who has got money. He has got time, and he's got power. What some of these tycoons would give to have more time. I reached $1 billion, and I'm 78 years old. Oh, I wish I'd have had this at 28. How many people have time, but no money? How many people have power, but, he's rich, he's young, and he rules. He comes to Jesus. I want to be your disciple. What do I do? And people think, oh, see, Jesus wants us all to be broke, huh? Well, he wants money. He wants lots of time to rule, and he wants power, and he wants Jesus to do things. So you're going to be an auxiliary of Herod? No, give up this world and follow me. And he went away sad. Did Jesus chase him? Oh man, dude, you're what we need, man. Oh God, I get these 12 schlockos that are following me. They still smell like fish, and they got fish scales under their. Oh, your resume, your inroads, dude. I could network with you. Oh, if you don't want to follow me, then you don't want to follow me. Jesus doesn't chase him. I know a pastor, he's gone now, 20, 30 plus years ago. They lived near a pro ball park. And one of the pro ball players would come to church. This guy would seek them out like a homing device. Like an eagle on a mouse. Hey, whoa, hey, let's have tea. Let's seek him out. It wasn't a good thing. Jesus bent his rules for nobody. Matthew, Mark, and Luke. John doesn't have it. Shall we pay taxes to Caesar? That question is only in...
Oh, wait, hang on a second. Aaron says the rich young ruler, he calls it the looking for a checklist to heaven story.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. That isn't a checklist.
There's just one thing on the checklist, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Call on Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the checklist. There's really no list.
No.
Call on Jesus.
Yeah,
and everything after that.
List.
Yeah. Yeah, everything after that is just is fill in. Mm-hmm. Shall we pay taxes to Caesar? This question is getting asked by people who hated Caesar, and hated paying taxes to Caesar. If Jesus says yes, then they say, see, he's loyal to Caesar. He's not loyal to God. If he says no, see, he's a rebel. They're trying to sting him either way. And Jesus answers their question brilliantly, and a bunch of other questions very brilliantly. I love that line later in this whole vignette where it says, and no one dared ask him any more questions. Oh my. Woe to you, scribes, woe to you, Pharisees. The widows might.
Oh, hang on a second, Drake.
Huh.
When they say no one dared to ask him any more questions, that was like the elite thinker people of the day, right?
Yeah. And again, they weren't questions. They were not on a quest.
They were like, they were traps.
Yeah, they were trying to...
Verbal traps.
Yeah, they were trying to give Jesus a flip down.
It was
a body slammer.
It was a debate smackdown.
Yeah.
And Jesus won. Yeah.
The widow's mite. These people, I mean, the more you gave in the treasury, and they would hold their hand up high and drop it so you could hear all the money clanking into the thing. Chunks of silver. Some of these chunks of silver were worth $2,000, $3,000. And they would drop a handful in. Plunk, 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 plunk. And we'd go, whoa, he's a big giver. Hoo-hoo! And they would do that on purpose. Well, the widow's mite. She comes in and just puts 2 pennies in the offering.
Plink, plink.
And Jesus said, I'm impressed with her. God looks at percentages. How much of our lives are we giving over to Christ? And Matthew has that, and Luke has that. Matthew wants the regal Jews to know. Luke wants the entire Greek world to know. Whatever you've got given to God, he can do miracles with it. That's I like that stuff. But the Syrophoenician woman, remember, she comes to Jesus healing and she says, can you come heal my son? And he says, it's not right to take the children's bread and give it to the dogs.
Dude, that's rough.
Yeah.
I have never had somebody basically say, lady, you're a dog.
Yeah. Whoa, God's calling you. I mean, he's calling her culture a dog. And it really was. They were so creepy and witchcraft infested and cultic and voodoo. And voodoo's a much later name, but yeah, Jezebel was from here. And they hadn't changed much. Guess who tells the story of the Syrophoenicians? Only 2 of the Gospels tell. Luke doesn't tell the story. John doesn't tell us. Only Matthew and Mark. Only this story directly comes from the Jewish writers. Who Matthew wrote to the Jews local. Mark wrote to the Jews worldwide. And only Matthew and Mark tell this story. Luke, because the Jews would read this and go, Syrophoenicians, yeah, no kidding, man, they are dogs. Boo, boo, boo. But then Jesus says, all right, okay. She says, wait, even the dogs get to eat from the table.
The scraps. They get to eat the scraps.
Okay, I can't, but can I have the scraps? Can I have the scraps? And he said, oh, all right, go. Your son is healed. Jesus just says it. Jesus says stuff to you. And
gosh, even healing scraps can heal.
Yeah. But this memo goes to the Jewish people, so they'll go, oops, the camera
went out.
Is it recording still?
Yeah, it's still, they can still hear you, but let me go pop in a new battery.
Ooh.
But come over and sit over here. Come sit here, Drake.
Okay.
For a second. Oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. It's just that kind of day. Here we go.
Hang on. Okay, I can sit here.
Yeah, sit here for a second.
At the techie desk.
You were right. That camera was dying.
Continue. I feel like Wolfman Jack.
All right, then, guys, we got to the top 40 here.
No, jeez, that's a little bit too intense.
A little bit too Wolfman Jackie.
Put the headphones on and hear how loud you are when you do that.
Okay, well, headphones. Bumpy day here, folks. Sorry, but hey, the Lord is still reeling with us. The Syrophoenician woman, only Matthew and Mark have that. Here's one that spun my head, and this is something that I just caught for the first time ever this week. Only Mark has the story of the blind man who calls to Jesus, and Jesus touches him. He can see, and he says, "What do you see?" He says, "Well, I see trees walking around." And Jesus says, "Well, let's do that again." And then he heals him, and then he can see properly. I mean, what is this Lord of the Rings interlude with trees walking around? That's what's being asserted to us here. Hey, when you pray for someone for healing, or you declare it, and it doesn't work right away, don't give up the ship. Keep after it. Pray again. Pray again. Don't just go, "Oh, it didn't work the first time. I quit." Don't be like that. Nobody is that way with anything and gets anywhere. If people prayed for healing the same way that they play golf or try to learn golf, they would line up to tee off on a 330-yard fairway. They would hit it, it would go into the trees, and they would fling their club, bust it, and say, "That's it, I'm never golfing again. I wanted to get a hole-in-one on my very first golf hit." Don't be like that. Don't be such a pushover. Don't quit so easy. He heals this man. He's from Bethsaida. If the Sea of Galilee were a clock, Bethsaida is at about 10:30. Think of a face clock. 10:30, 11 o'clock, 10. It's right in there. And Jesus tells this guy after he gets healed, he says, "Don't go back into the village. Don't." Bethsaida didn't want him. This one guy hears that Jesus can heal, and how does a blind man take me to him? I want him to touch me. The rest of the town doesn't want it, but I do. So he seeks out Jesus, has this kind of bumpy healing incident. Then he can see, and Jesus says, "Don't go back to the village." Why? Same reason he didn't chase the rich young ruler. Oh, I really need you. I really need you. Jesus didn't go, "Oh, I need Bethsaida to like me. I need them to like me there." If they didn't want him, he says, "Fine, I gotta go." Jesus tells him, "Don't go back in the village." You notice Jesus didn't appear to Pilate and Herod after he rose from the dead? He didn't go, see, thought you beat me, huh? Well, I beat you. People that didn't want him, he didn't appear to them. Bethsaida didn't want him. And let me tell you something about Bethsaida today. Bethsaida is an archaeological dig. It's a desolate village, and the basalt stones are still left there. And there's a Heliopolis carving dedicated to the sun god. They never wanted God. They never wanted Jesus. They went pagan in 920 BC, and they never looked back. Even when Jesus walked through, he says, "Woe to you, Bethsaida! Woe to you, Chorazin! For if the miracles were done in Sidon, they would have repented long ago, but you won't." When Jesus curses a town, oh my goodness, you're not going to fight that. Somebody in the 1960s went to Bethsaida and said, "Hey, tourists are coming. They're coming to Capernaum. They're coming to Tiberias. They're coming to Jordan. Let's build resorts here. Let's build in condos and hotels. Let's get Bethsaida going again." So they did the blueprint. Somebody thought, "You remember what happened here?" He says, that's nothing. I'll do what I want. So he starts the construction, and if I remember the story right, one of the big caterpillars just flipped and crushed the driver. You kind of stop work and go, "Guys, forget it. Let's start tomorrow." One guy came back through a construction worker on the second day. He's working on something, and something blows up and takes him. This guy died on the second day. And they go, "Goodness gracious." They just go home. When something like that happens, you don't keep working. You just call the day over with. Third day, they go to work. Bam! Somebody gets killed on 3 days. Somebody got killed every day during the effort to rebuild Bethsaida. And somebody, that area isn't a bastion of Christians, so somebody found one writing that Jesus said, "Woe to you, Bethsaida, if the miracles, Jesus cursed this area. They said no to him. Jesus said, okay, the answer is no to you. And you can't even rebuild, but you can visit it, but you're not going to try to bring the town to life. When Jesus curses something, it's over, baby. When Jesus blesses something, like you, it can't be reversed. Just keep that in mind. Bethsaida, heavy, heavy stuff. Only Mark has that. Matthew doesn't have that story. Luke and John, only Mark has that. The story to Jews everywhere in the empire, and only Mark includes that. And I think that's very interesting. The commissioning of the 70 who return and say, even the demons submit. When I just say Jesus' name, the demons, they run. Goodness gracious. And Jesus can you like the power? You like the power to crush evil? I have it. I have this power completely. And I want to give it to you. I want you to do what I do. Good stuff. The healing of Peter's mother-in-law. Matthew, Mark, and Luke have that. John doesn't have that. It doesn't fit with the thread that he's trying to accomplish. And I get to thinking, when Peter's mother-in-law is sick and she can't serve them, if I was Jesus, I'd say, Peter, you sure you want me to heal her? Okay, that's not nice. The mother-in-law jokes of the world. Anyhow, but Matthew, Mark, and Luke all have Peter's mother-in-law being healed. John doesn't put it in there because it creates kind of a, okay, it's off the highway of what John's trying to prove. The Gadarene. Matthew, Mark, and Luke have that. We have the most grotesque demon possession story.
Okay, hang on, sorry.
We have the most grotesque demon possession story in just about all of literature. And Jesus lands and they see this guy, then Jesus goes and heals him. And the demons say, well, there's many of us. There's thousands of us. There's a legion of demons living in this man. I mean, he is cutting himself. He's screaming 24 hours a day. He's never sleeping. He's probably got those super dark circles under his eyes. The guy is just beyond crazy. He's bleeding. He's nude. He's running around like Smeagol, Gollum in Lord of the Rings. The guy is just beyond out of his mind. And the demons say, well, they want to go somewhere. And they said, well, send us into those pigs. So he sends them into the pigs, and the whole herd comes crazy rushing down the hill and goes right in to the Sea of Galilee. A little bit of a kosher hint there. These were Greek people in the upper East Galilee region raising these pigs. These weren't Jewish people. And by the way, this is the very first incident of deviled ham. So if you buy some of that Underwood deviled ham, it's those pigs in Galilee. You might think that's hogwash, but no way.
It is hogwash.
Diane, good to see you, Diane. Yeah, so, well, we're kind of wrapping it up here. Just wanted you to have those highlights of these more things about Jesus. The fascination never ends. I get such a rush in comparing Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and how they accent it. And again, there's a concept, and I got this in grad school. You see the spine of Mark. Mark has the most of what the others have. So they say Mark is the spine, and Matthew and Luke are the ribs that come off the spine. And John is like a lava lamp on the other side of the room. He's just got this stuff that's totally unique to him, and he uses just 7 of the miracles. But anyhow, the amazement of Jesus goes on, and you watch, oh my goodness, you watch Jesus do what he do what he do here in these coming months.
Do what you're gonna
and
do.
years. It's gonna be fascinating. A lot of prophecies are gonna get fulfilled in a big way, real quick here, and all 90-something% of all the other prophecies that Christ said have already come true. So we're in the 90%, and soon all the prophecies will be fulfilled. So anyhow, may your day be blessed. May your day be wonderful. May you marvel in our Savior and walk with Christ today. Dr. Drake signing off. God is with you.